Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, let's go ahead and get into a signs and symbols um, video here, and we shall see what we've got. Let's go with one of my old favorite decks. We have got the card of arithmetic, just sideways. We've got legend, upright, and we've got suspension. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have tension, we have expectation, we have excitement. I feel like somebody's waiting on possibly a dude. Doesn't have to be. I don't actually read for genders, but we do have an expectation that everything has to be, in order. Everything has to be counted out. We're counting down the days, possibly waiting breathlessly, wondering what will happen, waiting to see what will happen. Will the legend appear? Will the legend disappear? And I say that because this particular card, it's quite interesting because it's giving a little biography on a person here, and it says Augustus F. Norwood, born 1897, was a scientist, inventor, and occult researcher. You hold in your hands a faithful reproduction of his attempt to update the Mantega into a modern American vernacular. Science itself, he wrote, has prompted has proven that science by itself cannot provide the answers I am seeking. On the night of September 24th, 1936, Augustus Norwood walked out of his workshop and was never seen again. And so there is an element here of great mystery, great intrigue, trying to find, well, obviously, answers to whatever mysteries, maybe the mystery of the universe, mystery of how we're here. And we have this scientist who was, he himself created a mystery, is what this is hinting, of course. Well, out and out saying, not hinting. But you notice that we have like somebody waits on another person's actions, and they are the mysterious individual. Now, maybe September 24th is going to be an important day. Maybe the month of August is important. I just say that because of Augustus. But with this hanged man or the suspension, it's like someone's in this kind of silo or this isolation chamber waiting to know what's the legend going to do, counting down the days. This feels like a lot of anticipatory excitement, but somebody is waiting on another person's actions. And it's somebody that they have perhaps put on a bit of a pedestal. Oh, eight of air. Yeah. Talk about waiting to see. What are they going to do? What's going to happen here? What answer are they going to give? What will they say? The Ace of Cups is here as well. So somebody's heart is kind of on the line waiting. Somebody could have like a piece of chain, bicycle chain. There could be a broken chain, like I'm picturing a piece of jewelry, or if somebody keeps like their wallet, on a chain. It's like, make sure the chain's not breaking. Also, I'm picturing the chain like inside the back of a toilet, could like detach or, rust off or something. So the toilet stops flushing. Check, take off the lid and take a look and see if, perhaps it's just a rusty chain. We also have this, I don't know if somebody's eating a Tic Tac or something, but this isolation chamber, or kind of like one person submarine that we see here, makes me think of, Tic Tac shape. That also makes me think of, the Tic Tac is what they've dubbed a certain, looking unidentified flying objects. So that takes us into the realm of aliens, the unknown, the mysterious. We may have somebody who's very into science fiction. I'm thinking older, like Jules Verne kind of sci-fi. This could be, I don't know if somebody is both like old science, new science, but they seem to be very intriguing to an individual whose heart is set on whomever this person is. Now, let's ask whose heart is set on finding out what the legend is going to do. We have a Four of Cups. We have poetry. Okay. So we have somebody who's like, I feel like this person kind of shares my mind. I feel like this person kind of has something to do with, they take up half of my mind sometimes. Four of Cups is like, maybe I'm tripping, maybe I'm telling myself a lie, maybe this is all an illusion, but I can't help it. Still, half my brain clings to this, even if the other half of me says this is ridiculous. It's like a struggle between heart and head. I feel like somebody might be eating walnuts. It just looks like the inside of like, a walnut when we open up its shell. But the individual whose heart is set on the legend and wondering what the legend is going to do, obviously this is somebody that they have affection for, somebody they have love for, but they built the legend into a very important person in their mind. And it's a little bit like, I can't help but have my heart sit here sweating over, I wonder what they're going to do next. I wonder what they're going to say next. This person seems to be romantic, maybe poetic, maybe it just feels like somebody waits on another person to see what they'll say next, what they'll do next. And that doesn't have to be a terrible thing unless it's like an unrequited love, or unless somebody has built another person into this, individual that it's like, oh, they're, let me bow to them. I'm not a fan of gurus. I'm not a fan of ever bowing to anybody. I think everyone is equally as worthy. I think it's fine to admire people that have, a talent or a skill set, or somebody that we think is like really admirable and has integrity, but not to make them our gurus. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to see any character put somebody up at a legend status. But admiring somebody for what they bring to the world, that's different than making them, a guru, and waiting on, I must know what the guru tells me to do. Hopefully everybody makes their own decisions, because at the end of the day, we're responsible for our own choices and our actions. So think for ourselves, right? But we have this poetic, romantic person. I'm not saying at all like they don't have a mind of their own. I just think that this could be somebody who's in love. This could be somebody who, in the nicest of ways, I don't think that they're, even though we have the ventriloquist dummy head here, I don't see that they wait to parrot somebody else's words. I think if anything, we're still talking about the dialogue between their head and their heart. I feel like this is a person who has a very poetic and romantic mindset. They definitely have a mind of their own, because anybody who's, poetic or romantic, they're inspired by the world around them, but then what they craft with that inspiration is entirely their own. So I feel like this is not a character who's seeking a guru or trying to put somebody so up on a pedestal that they don't think for themselves. I don't feel that way. But we do certainly have somebody who's having an argument, a poetic argument between their head and their heart. So let me just ask this. Let's ask the legend. Legend, what is it that you are going to do? Are you counting down the days? This feels like we have characters who have like like a connection. Okay, we have a 4 of fire, which is the 4 of wands, and we have the Piscean energy. Again, okay, this is a love story. We have someone waiting and wondering if they're going to hear from the legend. Waiting and wondering, will I hear from, we'll say him this August. Will I hear from him? And I can't help but wait. And he, how in that little story about Mr. Augustus, it said, he was looking for answers that he decided science could not provide the answers he was seeking. And so he, disappeared, never to be heard from again out of his workshop. Just simply meaning he didn't disappear into thin air. He went off and he maybe sought other answers. Like, let's say he shifted from science to spirituality or something. But I'm wondering if we have a character who's changing gears, changing a belief system, changing something about the way he looks at the world. And that in turn, in this love story, is changing perhaps his own ability to connect to what his heart is saying. Because this 4 of fire is the 4 of wands. This Piscean energy is, here we go again, with somebody who tends to isolate himself. He could be a character of particular solitude sometimes. And he's wanting to like submerge himself in this mysterious mermaid's world. I almost said Medusa, but I have a Medusa ring on. It doesn't show up very well here, but it's a really cool Medusa ring. I feel like, since this is a card of marriage, it's a card of balance, it's a card of, and you notice it's like his hand is open, he's opening up to like offer something, and he's obviously writing something important, something from his heart space. I wonder if we have possibly a divine masculine who has been fairly closed off, maybe aloof, maybe a bit of a loner, who's realizing more and more that his heart obviously has been captivated by something he can't quite explain, but he's starting to say, I just want to surrender to it. I want to submerge into it. I want to go ahead and maybe try to write about how I feel, but it's about like, I don't know what this magical thing is because science can't describe it, but my heart feels a certain way. And he's, even though we still see this as like him, I'm hearing, hey babe, take a walk on the wild side. We got a little Lou Reed coming in, but I'm feeling like he's stepping into like a version of what we could call a wild side for him. Things aren't adding up, but he's ready to go with it anyway. He's ready to go with the flow of emotions. This feels like it's exactly what our poetic individual has been wondering. Does he feel that? Does he sense that? Does he, I don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to reach out? Is he feeling the same way I am? I'm probably tripping, but I can't help it. I'm having this argument in my head. My brain is saying, of course not. This is ridiculous. My heart is saying, but I can't help but sense that he does, or is it just wishful thinking? So we definitely have one person wondering what this masculine is going to do. And yes, this masculine, because of that card of legend, this is a stuff of legends for him, perhaps. Or like I say, maybe he is a legend in, you can be a legend in your own small town. You're the person who, the whole town knows you as whatever, the kid who, was like the spunkiest little kid when you were 6 years old, and the whole town always remembers that. There's some old newspaper clipping right up, or the high school jock, or it could be as a full-grown adult, you become a legend. I mean, maybe he's very famous. Maybe he is a full-blown legend as a full-grown adult, or perhaps this is somebody who is, a legend for different things, right? I'm just trying to give the span of how, if people know your name, if people know of you, there you have legend status, right? But it's interesting that he seems to be, maybe he's legendary for being in hermit mode, for isolating himself, for being somebody who's like a deep thinker, doesn't always share his thoughts. I kind of feel like this is a character who has chunks of time where they just kind of retreat and they close themselves off from everyone. Maybe they're legendary for that, which could also be why this is such an interesting tale of a semi-silent hermit type character who has actually fallen deeply in love with somebody, and he can't explain it, and science isn't going to make it make sense, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, but here he is typing it out on his typewriter, maybe to explain to himself, all I know is I want her. All I know is I want to go into the mermaid's world. I have no idea what that means, other than I got all these emotions, all these dreams. I got to reach out to her because she feels like my Four of Wands. Why, when I've always been so isolated? Why would it feel like she's somebody I belong with? Okay, so I'm willing to bet then that the other person in this, that poetry card, probably represents our mermaid. Yeah, we have the card of hope. And we've said this from the beginning, like she hopes that she's not losing her mind. She hopes that what her heart feels is legit. She is a very romantic individual, but she also has a strong like tenacity. But you notice she's on this swing, and that says she has that swinging pendulum between like head and heart. This is crazy. I'm sure he doesn't feel the way I do, but for some reason my heart keeps hoping. We do have this baby dragon, and we could maybe say it's a phoenix rising from the ashes, or maybe we could just say that it's literally a little dragon flying upward from the base of the card. I definitely would put her in, since dragons are mythical creatures, and so too are mermaids, even though I would argue both could have existed, but that's a whole nother story. Some version of them anyway could have existed. This feels like she can't help but hope that he feels this way. We have the Libra card. We have the 10 of Cups. Libra is all about the scales. It's all about balancing. Here we go again with a mythical creature. This time we've got a griffin holding the Libra scales. And there's that 10 of cups, which is that happiness that we could have together. It's like in her mind, she can't shake it. I don't know why, but I feel like they're my person. And I know it's a long shot, and I know it wouldn't make sense. And I know there's no reason that that person, who is almost a mythical creature even to me, by the way, this always makes me think of like the houses I've seen, like specifically in London, like the brownstones. One time when I was there, I know I stayed in a like a very tiny attic, like apartment, I guess you'd call it, but it was just like only big enough to, you couldn't quite open the door because the bed was right there. But it was really great because I had this view across London, and it was, I could see all the chimneys, rooftops, and this is exactly what it looked like to me. That was like 2018, I think. It's very London to me, but it feels, or England, I guess it doesn't have to be London, but very English to me. But she sees him as her 10 of cups, even though she's like, this is crazy. I know this is crazy. I know that. Totally crazy. I mean, we got the griffin here. This doesn't even make sense. This is fantasy, the stuff of fantasy, the stuff of legends, the stuff of, mythical proportions. Why would I even believe this? But how come I can't shake it? Somehow we would balance each other out. I don't think she's wrong in this story. I think we've already seen he sees it too. He feels it too. So somebody could see a lot of mythical creatures. It could be into fantasy or something. They could have, whatever, books or something that have images of dragons on them, or, CDs, or, the insignia like on t-shirts or something, something that has a griffin on it. Also picturing like the outline of like a lion, like almost a crest, like a family crest. Maybe somebody has a tattoo of like, the family crest, like a shield or something. We have the card of charity. Look, whether or not she wants to, whether or not she means to, she can't help but still like kind of send up her thoughts to the universe. Swans mate for life, but we only see one swan here. You notice she's kind of saying, universe, if this is meant to be, bring this person into my life, bring them into my arms. If not, then let me forget them. Give me some mercy, give me some charity, universe, and let them go if this is not my person. Because right now I'm a swan without my mate. I think for her, it's very much the energy of, if I'm wrong, please let me forget them. That's the way I would say this. She may have very long hair as well, like naturally curly, wavy. We've got kind of blonde, or not blonde, but strawberry blonde or redhead here. Here she's got blonde hair, again, long and curly. Doesn't have to be, but here she has dark hair. It just very much looks like we have a feminine who is, again, she's very romantic, even gothic, even like from a different time frame. But she's asking the universe, if I'm wrong about all this, please just let me forget it. But this all says she's not wrong about it. I don't know, I feel like he's typing out what he needs to say even now. We just got a message similar to that, I think, on my other channel on Tarot Dog, something about typing something out. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.